Today is Fuji Q Highlands at the base of Mount Fuji. I'm completely filming this out of order. I'm actually leaving the park right now. But as I'll kind of explain throughout the video, Fuji Q is not a park you meander in and take some video. It's one you have to kind of run around, get some fast passes and get on some rides. So I kind of did all my filming afterwards. Here is kind of their one of their star coasters, Fujiyama, which is actually one of the better rides here at the park. It wouldn't be a Japan park video if we weren't coming to you from a Ferris wheel. So a lot is said about Fuji Q. I figured I'd give you a little backstory. If you talk to some seasoned coaster enthusiasts who've traveled here or read a lot of the blogs or seen other videos, a lot of people say this is one of the worst parks in the world to go to. And that's mainly due to the operations and their operations policies. For example, today is a very quiet day. Everything is a walk-on except the major coasters, which are all about 2 hours. And that's not necessarily because they're crowded. Simply because they run one train and they dispatch it every 15 minutes. It makes for a really slow process. A lot of that's around Japan's crazy loose article policy. All these parks are very worried about loose articles and they'll let people on the platform, then you take the stuff out of your pocket, put it in a locker, etc., etc. And they're also known for closing rides if it starts to cloud up or the breeze picks up a little bit, like 5 miles per hour. They'll start closing rides because of wind. They certainly don't run them in the rain. So a lot of people who've been here in the past have had some really bad days here, and I could see how today would have been a really bad day. But fortunately for us, in the last couple of years, maybe last 2 or 3 years, they added fast passes, or they call them priority pass or something like that. So we actually ran to this little booth here, and you can see it's already closed up because they're all sold out by about 10 a.m. Most people actually know about them and run up to the booth first thing in the morning to get their priority pass. It's a little pricey at 1,000 yen a piece, so about 10 bucks, give or take. But we did it for the main 4 major roller coasters, and it lets you go pretty much up the exit for most of them. One of them they have like a little separate line, but we were on the next train every time we walked up, and that is a lifesaver. We were actually completed the entire park in 2 hours, whereas you read most people, it takes them days to get completed, and they're lucky. So their newish fast pass thing here is certainly a lifesaver, and it also helps that the weather's really nice today. So just to kind of note, for if you're ever planning on coming here, or you're ever planning on coming to any of the parks in Japan, really, I definitely factor in your budget. If you're like, I don't get skip line passes in the United States. In Japan, the parks are just so crowded here that, this park routinely will see 3-4 hour waits for their major rides. And you just don't want to wait in line. It was well worth the 40 bucks to skip 4 rides. And same thing at Universal. So just a quick little note, if you are planning a trip to one of these parks here in Japan, one of the major parks, just put in as your budget that you have to get the skip the line pass. Traveling halfway around the world, it'll make the world a difference, and certainly pay off, because now we kind of look at the park in a different eye and say, hey, it's a pretty cool park with some pretty unique rides. But you'll hear a lot of kind of trash talked about it on the internet. I'm sure a lot of that's rightfully so. I'm not just counting any of those people. Just simply saying, in the past, if you came here when they didn't have the skip the line system, I could really see how it could take you forever to finish this park, even on some not so crowded days. All right, we have Takabisha here, the super large Eurofighter, with Mount Fuji in the background. And right around the corner, which we are en route to, is a ride called Fuji Q Highlands, or Airway, or something like that. I'm not sure exactly how it translates, but it's basically, from what we gather, a soaring club, maybe more like Europe in the air. So I'm gonna say it's a lot like Europe in the air. but with less Muppets. Let's go check it out. One of the non-roller coaster attractions Fuji Q is known for is the Haunted Hospital. It's an upcharge haunted house. It's 500 yen, so about $5 extra, but it is actually a 40-minute walkthrough. And I have no shame in admitting that I absolutely hate haunted attractions. So my friend Brian's in there right now. When he gets out, we'll get a review from him. But 40 minutes of walking through attraction, and that's on top of a 40-minute wait right now. So it's quite a long time waiting for a haunted house. 40 minutes later, Brian just came out. Brian, what's this crazy? The two people you had to, because you can't go in by yourself. So Brian went in with these two people, and they looked like they just got, you know what, scared out of them. How was it?
It was really good. Without giving too many spoilers, it's essentially the length of 3 not scary farm type walk-through haunted houses all put together. There's a lot of waiting once you're inside, so you go kind of from one maze and then you kind of wait for the next one, There's a couple of different sets and scenes. It's themed to an abandoned hospital. One of the first scenes that you do is you sit down in like a movie theater type area, and then you watch a short film that was, I guess, filmed inside here, of a Japanese woman entering the hospital as it's decayed, but then there's flashbacks to a doctor doing all sorts of really outrageous things with people and punching them in the face and blood spattering and all that stuff. Very gory, which was really cool as a haunt aficionado.
So once you got into the mazes, was it live actors?
There were a couple of live actors, maybe 4 or 5 in each zone of the mazes. Because I went by myself, I actually had to get 2 people to come in with me. So I approached two Japanese fellows from Osaka as they were walking up and asked if I can join them. And they used their very limited English to welcome me into their group. They were literally grabbing onto me the entire time. They were absolutely terrified. These are 2 grown men here.
Like I said, they looked like they just like saw someone die when they walked out of it.
It was absolutely terrifying. As someone who's been to years of Halloween Horror Nights and Knott's Berry Farm and all that, I thoroughly enjoyed it. They genuinely seemed absolutely terrified of every single live actor that was in there. They ran like heck from every single actor.
So was it as scary as like a Scary Farm or Horror Nights?
I would say there were definitely terrifying moments in it. Mainly because I don't speak the language, so I had no idea what was going on or what to expect or what to do. And that to me was pretty terrifying. But when you kind of look at something like a Knott's Berry Farm, it was definitely not as truly scary or revolutionary or groundbreaking as one of those, but still an incredibly fun attraction.
So in Japan, they don't have a lot of park souvenirs. What they do have, it's in form of box candy or chocolate or other sweets. But I just had to show some of these awesome. This is for Takabisha, some crazy long, I don't know what, chocolate crepe roll. That's kind of cool. I want to buy this just for the box. I mean, that looks super classy. It's embossed or kind of sticks out there a little bit, so that's kind of cool. Got a little splash down there. That looks cool too. But this is a star attraction here. You can get a candy in the shape of a coaster car. So kind of cool stuff here. Unfortunately, not like non-edible merch, but the edible stuff is kind of neat. This is Fujiyama, their hyper coaster. When it opened in '96, it was the world's tallest and fastest roller coaster. It's loosely based off the Coney Island Cyclone with his design, and it's actually a pretty good ride. It's a Togo, believe it or not, and I'm saying it's a good ride, but no over-the-shoulder restraints, and for the most part, the ride's actually pretty smooth and pretty fun. You even get some good airtime pops on some of these smaller hills. Then coming off the first drop's really good. You can see one cool thing is all the drops go all the way to the ground, so none of these short drops or anything. This is this big airtime hill right here. Barely makes it over, but coming off of it, it's pretty cool. It's just the end of the ride, which is these curves right here. There's 3 or 4 of these like S curves that are just awful. It's clearly, you know, before computer-aided design with these coasters, but perfect timing. That's what we'll watch a little bit of it here. Really cool trains. And that's the airtime hill. Nice little pop of air right there. Like I said, these drops you can see go all the way to the ground for the most part. So you get it's pretty good length as well. I think it's the 3rd or 4th longest coaster in the world. Gonna do one more loop around. And then this is where the ride starts going downhill. Does a quick little helix over here. And then it does these weird curves. And you just kind of can't handle them. And that is Fujiyama. Surprisingly, like I said, besides the last 2 or 3 curves, pretty good ride with some pretty nice airtime. It's kind of fun to ride a hyper coaster that's not just out and back and has some unique elements. Plus, the view of Mount Fuji is incredible. So Fuji Q, not as bad as you may have heard. And that's only because we got the fast passes I said about earlier. I mean, all the major rides are 1 hour and 20, 2-hour waits. And that's with the park being pretty much empty. I mean, besides the roller coasters, everything else is a walk-on. The roller coasters are only a wait because they take 10-15 minutes to dispatch the ride. They want to make sure everyone has loose articles out of their pockets and just all around slow. But overall, besides that, it's actually a pretty nice park. It's one of the nicer parks in Japan. I know when I posted this morning on Twitter that I was coming here, I got tons of people who were replying back saying, "Oh, why are you even bothering to go there?" I mean, great excuse to see Mount Fuji. Clouds are starting to build a little bit more now than earlier, so it's not as great a view. But I mean, this is, you know, next to like the Cedar Points of the world, this is probably one of the best views you get from a theme park. And really, so these are some pretty good rides. I mean, they do beat you up a little bit, but overall, solid rides. Takabisha, the Eurofighter, really fun with the launch and then the lift. And then over here, I'm not even going to try to pronounce it, but the X clone, not X2, is still the old trains, but the X kind of clone, a little different layout, but very similar, is very, very good. But much like X, it's rough. So if you go in expecting, you know, a rough coaster, kind of like you would get with X, but the novelty of the 4D, you know, it's a pretty good ride. Again, you can't beat the views. And then the thrust coaster here, Dodonpa, probably getting that wrong. That is pretty solid. Not as intensive a launch as like Accelerator or Top Load Dragster, some of those intimate launches. This one felt really fast for the first second, and then kind of died out. And then the airtime on this hill is pretty crazy. There is a couple trims there, so you does slow you down a little bit from getting too crazy, but wow, you really do get thrown out of your seat. Really cool, fun ride. And then the background, we'll get some more video of that in a little bit here. Probably spliced in earlier, so you probably already saw the video, but Fujiyama, cool coaster as well. Again, rough, but kind of cool novelty. I guess that's the best way to sum up and wrap up this park, is the fact that you know, the rides here are unique. You know, in the States, it seems like a lot of the rides are clones, and here, I mean, you got some unique rides, and here goes Dodonpa again. So I think that's one of the cool things about the park overall. Sure, the rides aren't great, but compared to, you know, the United States, where you go to Six Flags, you got a Batman clone, you got, you know, some other, you know, you got your standard hyper coaster with the similar layout. The rides here are really unique. You even got over here, we'll zoom in, a suspended coaster that's themed to a hamster. It's kind of cool. So again, unique park, not the best rides in the world, not the smoothest rides in the world, but overall fun, you know. But you have to get the fast passes. If you don't get the fast passes, this would probably be the most miserable day you'd ever have at a theme park. So that's the best way I can end this on, is if you ever come here, do the research, let me know, hit me up on Twitter, I'd be more happy to help you out, but get the fast passes.